The regular season is heating up, new stars are emerging, and that means more opportunities to win up to 25 times your cash on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection on a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's that easy. Let it fly to turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Watch your favorite players and get paid doing it this basketball season. See your entries make progress during the game or make new entries for the second half in the fourth quarter. 3-pointers, assists, rebounds, and everything in between are yours for the taking. Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The Eric Erickson Show. The phone number is 877-973-7425 if you want to be on the program. All right, so I had to go back and listen to that full clip. Oh my. This is, I gotta, let me pull it back up here because I had it and then I closed my browser and then it went away. This is, and you would never know I'm a professional. Okay. This is the clip and then I gotta read you the story. This is Stacey Abrams' debut in Star Trek Discovery as the president of United Earth, who is going to return Earth to the Federation. I want to reroute my speakers here so you can hear her lines.
We greet the President of United Earth.
Madam President.
Madam President.
Welcome. I am so pleased that you've come. We are eager to begin diplomatic discussions.
Nothing to discuss. United Earth is ready right now to rejoin the Federation. And nothing could make me happier than to say those words. Thank you. Thank you all. What you have accomplished here.
We were lucky to have each other, ma'am. We couldn't have succeeded otherwise.
General, I'm glad to see you've recovered.
Yes, I haven't had that close a call in quite a while.
I would consider it a personal favor if that were your last close call.
I'm ever at your service, Madam President.
Captain, may I have a word?
Of course.
Oh my, that was Stacey Abrams' role. Now you gotta listen here. This is the Variety. Variety always fluffs up the Hollywood industry. Let me read you some of this. Abrams' scene is the culmination of a 2-season arc on Discovery, which began in season 3, when the crew of the titular starship traveled nearly 1,000 years into the future and discovered that the United Federation of Planets is in tatters and Earth is no longer a member. In season 4, after Captain Michael Burnham and her crew save humanity's home world from total destruction, the president of Earth arrives on the Federation starbase to declare her planet is ready to rejoin the Federation. We always knew that Earth returning would be a big, big moment. And coming into season 4, we knew it was going to happen in the finale, said executive producer Michelle Paradise, who also wrote the episode. As we started to look ahead to the finale, we realized we're going to need a face for this moment, someone to represent Earth. Paradise in her writer's room recalls interviews in which Abrams happily declared herself a diehard Trek fan, so much so she binge-watched Discovery during her 2018 campaign for governor of Georgia. When the time came to start talking about the president of Earth, it seemed like, well, who better to represent that than her, said Paradise. After the writers came up with the idea in early 2021, Paradise says she texted executive producer Alex Kurzman to ask what he thought. The number of exclamation marks that came back was phenomenal. So they reached out to Abrams, who got on a Zoom call with him to hear out the pitch, but only on the condition they didn't spoil what happens in season 4, only that it would require her to be in a scene. She was very specific about that. She wanted to enjoy it. Abrams, of course, said yes and spent days in August at the Toronto studio. We were fanning out the whole time, just trying to cover it up, trying to be cool. We adopted her so fast. We were like, you're Star Trek family forever now. Both Paradise and Martin Green said they were impressed by how naturally the politician and activist acted. And they realized she had acted and directed plays both at her performing arts magnet high school in Georgia and at Spelman College. The experience certainly helped, given that Abrams' role was written to be more than just a 2-line stunt. We never wanted it to be cameo. It had to be a proper role, said Paradise. There's just something that made us think, well, of course she can do it, and she did. She blew us away. She was just so comfortable with what she was doing and knew exactly how to be and where to go at everything. Adds Martin Green. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. I was taken aback and really moved by it. It really signaled the culmination of the season, having her, Stacey Abrams, there, because she's the symbol. She's a symbol of hope. She's a symbol of strength and connection and sacrifice and building something better than yourself that will last generations. That's exactly what we're talking about doing in the story, he said. Martin Green and the cast presented Abrams with an honorary trophy. She gets an honorary trophy. She's not just the figment governor of Georgia. She's the president of Earth. She's got a participation trophy. They gave her a captain's badge and a poem to commemorate her experience. It's a moment we all cherished. I think right now she's just the president of Earth, the producer said. President Stacey. We'll go with that. They needed a cigarette after talking about it. They gave her a participation trophy to be the fake president of Earth. If Stacey Abrams doesn't win, can you imagine the obituary one day? The minority leader of the state house of Georgia, the pretended governor of Georgia, the pretended president of Earth of the 26th century. Oh my gosh, she has become the Black Beto O'Rourke. Remember when everybody fawned over Beto O'Rourke? Oh, he says the F word and he's on a skateboard. She's now the Black Beto O'Rourke. She's getting all the media praise about it.
Bam-ba-lam, Black Beto had denial. Bam-ba-lam, the damn thing gone wild. Bam-ba-lam, she said, I'm worried in my mind. Bam-ba-lam, the damn thing gone wild. Bam-ba-lam, I said, oh, Black Beto. Bam-ba-lam, whoa, Black Beto. Bam-ba-lam. Whoa, Black Beto. Bam-ba-lam, whoa, Black Beto. Bam-ba-lam, she really gets good press. Bam-ba-lam, expect nothing less. Bam-ba-lam, she's so not ready. Bam-ba-lam, and she won't be steady. Bam-ba-lam, whoa, Black Beto. Bam-ba-lam, whoa, Black Beto. Bam-ba-lam.
Yes, indeed, my friends. I mean, she has gotten Beto O'Rourke style hagiographic coverage from the press. Stacey Abrams fawning over her on the set of Star Trek Discovery Season 4, where they have cast her in the role she was always meant for. President of a united Earth, where they have purged the Republicans so there can be harmony, peace, and rejoining the Federation of Planets with the Vulcans. Live long and prosper, President Abrams. Now, to the phones we go. Fred, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Great.
I just got a question for you and a comment, if that's okay, sir.
Sure.
Bottom line is, you touched on something a couple of weeks ago, and I thought you might go a little further with it. That has to do with Kamala's position as president and her succession to the presidency. Because it would not surprise me at all if the media turns more and more on Joe Biden. I think they've already started it to a point, and it will come to a climax after the November elections. And as long as he waits till at least January 21st, if I'm correct, she could actually run for 2 more terms as president. Is that not correct?
Yeah, she could, except you're wrong, Fred. The climax came after the left found out Stacey Abrams was going to be on Star Trek, but we'll let that slide.
Well, that is true, you know. And, of course, the federation that she's talking about joining may be the one that the current administration's allowed to grow over in the other continents right now, the federation of Putin. But
listen, you know what? I'm not willing to discount your theory here, Fred. I mean, things are a disaster for Biden. If the Democrats get wiped out, and it looks like they're going to, I mean, Biden he's going to be a lame duck anyway. People already know he's not going to win. I mean, even the Democrats, there was a poll out in Florida that a majority of Florida Democrats, if given the choice today, would replace Joe Biden with Hillary Clinton, of all people, who couldn't even beat Donald Trump. I don't see why they don't do it after the midterms. Now, this would be a Biden decision. They don't want to do the 25th Amendment option. The Democrats, I mean, the Republicans didn't, the Democrats won't. There's no way. But maybe he's tired of it. Maybe he throws in the towel. Maybe he decides the Democratic Party needs a reboot. Here's the thing, and this is why I don't think anyone can dismiss what Fred's asking here, for a very simple reason. The Democrats believe Donald Trump is an existential threat to the republic. If Joe Biden sees Republicans emboldened in November and they sweep into office at the federal and the state level, if he too believes that it is a threat to the world, if he too believes that there is a chance that Donald Trump could beat him, why doesn't he step aside and allow the Democrats to reboot? The odds of it happening are small. It is possible but not probable. But a Republican landslide in November raises the probability of it happening, would it not? The Democrats behind the scenes, nobody can push him out. But what if Joe Biden thinks, oh my gosh, Joe, we got to go, or Trump could come back in 2 years? It's just, it's not working. I mean, how bad is it? The White House is already abandoning the whole talking point that it's Putin's fault that gas prices are so high.
The invasion of Ukraine and the volatility of the oil market is no excuse for excessive price increases, profit padding, or any effort to exploit American consumers. No one should capitalize on Putin's aggression by taking advantage of American families. And this chart, which you see here, shows both the price of crude oil, and you see where it is as it relates to the price of gasoline. And as you've seen it go down, the price of gasoline obviously has not gone down. So that is the explanation of that particular chart.
Oh, yeah. The price of gasoline hasn't gone down. You know, the price of gasoline never actually goes down immediately. After oil prices go, gas prices go up immediately when oil prices go up. Gas prices lag about a week to 2 weeks behind oil prices going down. Why? Because the futures market banks in potential future turmoil. Gas prices are measured based on where the barrels of oil are. But when the oil price goes down, gas tends to historically stay high for a week or two, because you never know about the volatility in the meantime and the transitioning over. But the fact that the White House is moving away from it's Putin's problem to oil companies are greedy tells you everything you need to know. Elizabeth Warren is in on the act as well.
What causes inflation?
So I think the primary cause of this bout of price increases starts with COVID. And the fact that we have supply chain kinks and that people rapidly shifted the demand curve so that demand for services went down and demand for goods went up. So those two have forced prices up. That's part one. But what has also happened is that now that we live in America where there's a lot more concentration in certain industries, look at the oil industry, look at meat industry, look at groceries generally, that what's happened is these companies have said, we'll pass along costs. But while we're at it, and everyone's talking about rising costs, let's just add an extra big dollop of cost increases to expand our profits.
Don't you just love that it's all the greedy businesses? It's never the government's fault. The government is never to blame. It's the big greedy industries. They're to blame for this. When everyone predicted if the Biden administration passed the big COVID plan, inflation would go up. Inflation goes up. It's like, no, it's not really them. It's those bad corporations. It's never us. Actually, maybe you should look in the mirror, Elizabeth. I sleep well at night under Boll & Branch sheets. And I need to tell you, my family, we were customers before I started endorsing them. It's what I like to do. I like to be familiar with the product and like it. And I love the Boll & Branch sheets. One of the reasons I love them is because they are super soft sheets. Got to say that word right. But they've got a little weight to them. So you feel somewhat more snuggled. Like I've got some sheets that came with the new mattress, and they're so light. It's like there's nothing on top of you, and I can't sleep well with them because it's just, and then they bunch up the satiny soft feel of the Boll & Branch sheets. It makes a real big difference. Listen, you've got so many options out there right now. You can go to a department store, you have so many options, but there's no reason to, because with Boll & Branch, you get high quality sheets. They've got a great thread count. They're perfect. They've got plenty of color options. You sleep well under them because they're soft and they're durable and they've got a little bit of weight, the perfect amount of weight for a sheet. Now, I want you to go out there and order Boll & Branch sheets because they are comfortable. They're environmentally friendly. They're built around sustainability, and you got quality that lasts. A lot of the companies that advertise all the environmentally friendly stuff, their sheets don't last. I can tell you, my Boll & Branch sheets have lasted a long time, and they get softer over time. Experience the best sheets you've ever felt at bollandbranch.com. Get 15% off your first set of sheets when you use promo code ERIC, E-R-I-C-K, at checkout. That's Boll & Branch, B-O-L-L-A-N-D, branch.com. The promo code ERIC, E-R-I-C-K. Yes, you can. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. Let's go back to the phones. Chuck, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Eric, how's it going?
Great. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Driving home from work.
Nice.
So I wanted to talk to you about Stacey Abrams being on Star Trek and everything. I've been a Star Trek fan my whole life, and I've been pretty much done with Discovery since about the middle of last season. It's not a good show.
I never started it. The reviews that I heard at the beginning when it was coming out it was just too woke to begin with. And so many friends of mine have told me, in fact, one buddy of mine, Ryan, was texting me earlier and said the whole show's depressing. Everybody's got depression. Even the ship computer has depression. It's just not a great show. And I've heard that some of the up-and-coming shows, potentially they got the one with the Christopher Pike Enterprise coming out, that may be good, but I'm kind of meh on even Picard. It's just I want like a real Star Trek. Now I like it better than what I've seen of Discovery. I'm probably gonna push through the second. I watched the whole first season. I'll push through the second season, but I don't know.
We really enjoyed Picard so far.
Well, I'm hoping that this second season. I just always find that Star Trek, when it goes time travel-y, it's trying to cop out, and that's what I'm worried about here. But I'm a Star Trek fan. I like Star Wars. I like Star Trek both for different reasons. Always have, and I'm willing to play out Picard, but Discovery I don't even want to start it. I'm hoping for the Pike series being better. Walt, you're up next. Welcome, Walt. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Eric?
Great. What's going on?
Well, I actually won a walk-on Star Trek Into Darkness. Got to meet JJ and
how awesome
him and his crew that day. Yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience. And one of the things that JJ loves to do is kind of these stunts to include all kinds of people in the movies and shows. And I would imagine that when somebody called and said, hey, here's another opportunity to get somebody involved who's not your typical Star Trek fan or whatever, and being as woke as Hollywood is now, they probably just jumped at the opportunity to do something unique and weird. And
Unique and
probably
weird.
didn't realize how stupid this was going to come across.
Oh, I'm sure they didn't. They're all in there. When you read the Variety article, the current producers of the show are huge Abrams fans. And by the way, Stacey Abrams is a massive Star Trek fan and has been. She likes sci-fi. So do I. She's an author of novels and stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they thought she's a perfect fit. She lines up ideologically with them. Let her on. But my gosh, the Variety article of them fawning over, she's such a natural to be the president of the new Earth and the new Federation. She's just wonderful. She got all of her marks. Clearly, it's from her high school drama days. I mean, come on, really? The whole thing is predictable. And by the way, I don't fault her for doing it. If I was Stacey Abrams, and I'm a Star Trek fan, if Star Trek called me tomorrow and said, do you want to be the bad guy in Star Trek and get killed in the first minute? Heck yes. I could still say I was in Star Trek. I don't blame her at all. What I think is remarkable, though, is one, if she were a conservative, it never happened. And two, the absolute fawning over this by Variety and by the Hollywood left. She's just such a natural. She's just so, of course, we need someone to represent Earth, and who better than Stacey Abrams? Really? All right. When we come back, the insurance commissioner for the state of Georgia, John King, he is asking companies that do business in Georgia who are insurance related to get out of Russia. We're going to talk about it when we come back. Welcome back. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. Nationwide, the federal government and state governments are urging companies to divest from Russia. One of those are insurance companies and other companies similarly situated. And one of the insurance commissioners in the nation that is pushing for companies to divest from Russia is the insurance commissioner of Georgia, John King. He is joining me by phone. Commissioner King, how are you?
I'm doing well, Eric. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show.
Absolutely. So let's dig into this now. How many of the companies that are within your purview as insurance commissioner do you think are doing business in Russia?
I think as interconnected as all our insurance companies and financial institutions are involved in the global economy, there's probably, I would not be surprised if all of them are. And so what we're asking them is take a look at your books, take a look at your investments, and be a good corporate American. And don't allow, the opportunity or the profits or any resources coming from our economy to benefit the Russian Federation. As you can imagine, a lot of people pay a lot of attention at the military, capabilities of our nation. But I'll tell you, the economic, power of this nation is incredible, and I think we can actually have an impact on the decision making at the senior leadership of the Russian Federation.
Well, I'm hoping that's the case. It's kind of it's interesting to me, the movement of American companies, some of whom are doubling down there. I saw that the Coke Enterprises is not leaving, but then Papa John's and others have left, and growing movement for these other financial companies to move as well. I actually, if you don't mind, I want to deviate with you for just a minute in this, because you were a Major General of the National Guard. You're the commander of the 48th Infantry Brigade Combat Team. You were in Bosnia, Iraq, Afghanistan. As you look at the Russians on the ground in Ukraine, are you kind of as flabbergasted as others that they seem not to be doing what the much vaunted Russian army was expected to do, that the Ukrainians are holding them back?
I had the opportunity to, when I was in Bosnia, to get to see the Russian, because we serve alongside a Russian parachute brigade there in Bosnia, and I was I think we were able to look behind the curtain. They have a great PR system. They have a fantastic. But I tell you, I had feelings that they were a paper tiger. They got lots of capability, but the logistics and I got to see the Ukrainian military operating in Iraq. Very passionate, working very closely with the Polish army, both in Iraq and later in Afghanistan, and very independent, fiercely, fierce fighters. And so, honestly, I'm not surprised. It's everybody focuses on the shiny, the tanks and the missiles. But you know what? The American military is the only military in the world that can sustain their military in the field. And we've proven that numerous times. Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. No other military in the world can do the hard math, the hard work of sustaining a military in the field. And the Russians have proven that they're a paper tiger.
Yeah, I'm flabbergasted by, and I guess to some degree this is the first time we've seen modern army warfare against each other, the javelins and the Stinger missiles up against the Russians. I'm continue to be fascinated. And now the New York Times saying Russian soldiers are just walking off into the woods. It's not something I would have expected. Now, speaking of things not expected, my intentional transition here. You were appointed to become insurance commissioner in the state of Georgia. It's not a position you sought. The prior insurance commissioner had to step away due to scandal. He was ultimately found guilty in a federal court of crimes. You had to step into the void and build back up this office. And now you're going to be on the ballot. You are the first statewide official in Georgia of Hispanic descent now up for election in Georgia. You got a campaign across the state. What's it like to suddenly find yourself as an actual politician having to campaign in Georgia?
I'll tell you, I'm enjoying going out to communities all across Georgia and having a conversation with folks about most people don't even know what the insurance commissioner does. And so we have a great record now, 2.5 years of solid performance, of working to reduce the cost of all forms of insurance, to going after fraudsters, to locking up criminals who have been operating in this space. And so I'm proud to put that record against anyone. And so we have some great ideas. 3 years ago, I did not, didn't wake up and say, boy, I can't wait to be the insurance commissioner. Governor Kemp asked me to serve, and so I stepped into this role to serve. And I strongly feel we're making a difference to Georgia consumers, and I want to make sure that all the changes that we made to this organization become permanent. And that's really what's focusing me every day.
Now, how is in dealing with insurance companies in particular in Georgia? You got healthcare costs are going up, costs in general are going up. What is your role as insurance commissioner in dealing both with insurance companies and the surprise bill aspect and the cost aspect that consumers deal with?
Well, what we have is that we built a database of complaints. And so we, a lot of times when people complain about, insurance companies and the ways that insurance companies are treating people, is they have a lot of anecdotal evidence. And so we do is bring solid cases, and what we look at the products that these insurance companies are selling to consumers, and we're holding their feet to the fire. It says you're either fulfilling your promise to the consumer or you're not. And if you don't, we'll give you an opportunity to make the consumer, whole. And if you don't, we'll sanction you. And so we've had some tough conversations with insurance companies. They're not getting their, if for some reason they thought that a chief of police or a soldier that's coming into this role wasn't going to hold them accountable, I think they're surprised. I think they've been used to dealing with politicians, and so they're really, I think they're a little shocked, and shocking insurance companies is good because they need to do the right thing.
Yes, they do. Yeah, and they do need to divest from Russia. Is there any sort of compliance oversight or notification process if any of these companies do divest or don't divest that you guys have set up?
You know what? The competition space is so severe between all the companies. The ones that will tell us because they want to get, obviously, the support of this agency. And, of course, we reward people who focus on the priorities of the state. Governor Kemp has been very clear. Speaker Ralston has been very clear. And I think I'm adding on to that clarity of, folks that are doing business with Russia and funding their horrible method of warfare and murdering innocent civilians in a country that's been an ally of the United States and many other parts of the world should really reconsider what they're doing. Because I think consumers and agencies like mine are going to look really hard about where their loyalties are.
I sure hope so. Commissioner King, it's always fantastic to have you on the show. And again, I know you never set out to have to run for statewide office, and given the position you're in, now you are. Best of luck to you out on the campaign trail. And I appreciate you taking the lead on this. A lot of states following your lead in trying to do this. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Commissioner John King of Georgia. For those of you nationwide who are listening to this, I realize he's a commissioner in Georgia. It's a fascinating story, though. And it's why I didn't hesitate when his staff reached out to have him on. This is a guy he was a police officer. Well, I should give you his background, because his background here, if you're looking for a candidate that you're intrigued by, this is one. He was a police officer. And he was a police officer, but not just any police officer. He was also a graduate of the FBI National Academy in Quantico. Then he went to the Georgia International Law Enforcement Exchange Program in Israel. Then he became Major General in the U.S. National Guard. He served as the commander for the 48th Infantry Brigade combat team. He was in Bosnia-Herzegovina. He was in Iraq. He was in Afghanistan. He served as a military advisor for the Deputy Minister of Interior for Security in Afghanistan. Then during the pandemic, despite having become the insurance commissioner of Georgia because the old guy went to jail and they needed somebody, the National Guard called him back, and he had to go around the nation setting up field hospitals. The Navajo territories and the like went up to New Jersey as well, to Edison and Newark to set up field hospitals to contain COVID and the COVID overflow. He worked with the governor of the state of Georgia to maintain supply lines for hospitals in the state of Georgia. Just a deeply impressive career. And none of this stuff he chose. It's somewhat ironic that Brian Kemp supported him, put him in this position. He's the first statewide Hispanic official in Georgia, and the Trump team is lining up against someone against him in large part because Brian Kemp picked him, and he has proven himself in the job. I mean, just so you have an idea of this, the insurance commissioner of Georgia was a guy named Jim Beck. I said before he got elected that if Beck got elected, it would end badly. It would end in scandal. And within months of that guy getting elected, the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney for the Northern District of Georgia indicted him for a scam where he was flowing insurance money, it sounds like, into his pocket. He was found guilty, sent off to Popo for a long time, and John King had to come in and pick up the pieces, put that insurance agency back together, and then COVID hit. And he's in the National Guard, and he's traveling around the country helping in your state. I mean, he went to Texas, he went to New Orleans, he went to New Jersey, all over the country. And now comes back, the insurance commissioner found guilty, goes to jail, and so he is now the insurance commissioner, not just the interim insurance commissioner. Now he's got to run for office, and he's not a politician. He didn't intend to ever run for statewide office, and suddenly finds himself having to do so. It just is an all-around good guy. He's got the Army Distinguished Service Medal. He's got the Legion of Merit Medal. He's got 2 Bronze Stars, and is now the insurance commissioner of the state of Georgia. Heck of a ride for that guy, and now running for statewide office. If elected, he would be the first elected Hispanic official in the state of Georgia. His native tongue is Spanish. In fact, he's gone around the nation with the military and with COVID relief workers, explaining to predominantly Spanish-speaking communities what they need to do to take care of themselves in the times of COVID. Just a fascinating person. Glad to have him on the show. Glad to have him in the position he's in, and now leading the charge with other insurance commissioners around the nation to try to get American insurance companies to divest of their Russian assets and interests, which is worth doing. Hello there. Welcome back. It is Eric Erickson here. Now, we got other stuff that we got to talk about that filling in all the other stuff. I spent way too much time with the Stacey Abrams stuff, I admit. And my gosh, my allergies today. The number of times I've had to hit the mute button so I'm not sneezing in y'all's ear is just, I got to get back to my allergy shots. Nonetheless, I digress. Got to move on to other stuff. The Dornbircher Children's Hospital in Portland, Oregon, has a guide for children. This is the newest thing. It's called tucking. And it's encouraging kids, not grown-ups, but kids, boys, on how to duct tape their boy parts so that people don't know they're a boy. And then it gives them recommendations for sex shops that sell gender-affirming clothing items, sex toys, videos, and more. The shop is for people age 18 or older, but they offer appointments before or after hours for younger shoppers. Do y'all know what a social contagion is? Social contagion is a social disorder that spreads through society, like the Salem witch trials. The number of girls who became convinced that they were possessed all of a sudden and all had similar stories. You find these over time. There are lots of documented stories as well of the number of people who they become violently ill, like they've been exposed to a poison of some kind, and there's nothing to explain it. Like you heard stories in the Middle Ages of people who got some sort of dancing sickness and they couldn't stop dancing until they fell over dead, and there was no explanation for it at all other than it's a social contagion. There's a unique history within humanity of social contagions that are unexplained and spread through societies. There's a story from ABC News, ancient dancing outbreak believed to be a case of social contagion. It was centuries ago, right around this time, when the city of Aachen, Germany, was struck by an unusual outbreak that spread as far away as Madagascar, according to some. According to the scant written accounts there are of the outbreak, known as St. Vitus's Dance, back in 1374, groups of people, sometimes thousands at a time, started dancing uncontrollably. It continued for days and in some cases weeks and months. Some people reportedly danced until they collapsed from exhaustion or even death, while others suffered heart attacks or broken bones. One written account described people as united by one common delusion, said James Fowler, professor of medical genetics and political science at the University of California, San Diego. The dancers seemed to hallucinate and lose control of their senses. To this day, no one knows what led so many people into the dancing fits. At the time, many people believed it was a curse. Some believe the 14th century dancing outbreak was an early example of a social contagion. Just as yawning and laughing can be contagious, experts think manic dancing can be as well. St. Vitus dance, which began 637 years ago, is a medical condition known as sydenham chorea, named after the doctor who discovered it. The disease seems to resemble the manic dancing that took place in Europe in honor of St. Vitus, the patron saint of entertainers. The National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke describes sydenham chorea as a central nervous system disorder characterized by jerking movements, mostly the face, arms, legs, and hands. It's caused by infection. But many believe it's just a symptom of a social contagion. We tend to imitate body language and the emotional state of people that we're with, and we're not aware of it. Like if you yawn, a person watching you is going to yawn. I just think that what we're going through right now is a social contagion. When you have hospitals, and it tends to always be rich, white, elite people, hospital doctors associations and the like, trying to explain to young kids how to tuck, really, and what sex shops they can set up appointments at if they're under the age of 18. This is really bizarre stuff. It's like USA Today and their awards for amazing women. 4 of them aren't actually women. It's a social disorder sweeping through society, but this stuff happens. It eventually burns itself out. The question is how many people are going to be damaged in the process. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure. What was remarkable, though, this goes back to that YouGov poll yesterday I was talking about. Less than 1% of the public considers itself transgender, and but people think about a third of the country is, 20 to 30% is. You know what's so interesting here is the number of them who are, the number of people in this country who think numbers are higher in large part because of media coverage. So, people think of like a quarter of the country make $500,000 or more. It's actually about 1% of the country that does. but the media gives so disproportionate coverage to it, and politicians do as well, that people think there must be more when there aren't. It depends on what the media coverage is. When the media coverage is so dominant of one topic, that's where people go. And so we see this with the transgender movement. We see it with the attacks on millionaires and billionaires. We see this across the country, and it gives disproportionate coverage based on media coverage and political attacks. And we should realize we're being held hostage by less than 1% of the population when it comes to stuff like this. It's 2022. Things are still crazy. Things haven't settled down. And now you got the Federal Reserve and interest rates. You got the economy. You got inflation. A lot of banks won't even return your phone call. Let's say you're a small business and you need a loan for $750,000 or higher. You see an opportunity where banks, they don't even want to see you. You want to buy a building. You want to build a building. Reach out to the Frost family at First Liberty Building and Loan. They've been helping small businesses become big businesses since the 1990s. They want to help you if they can. So spend 10 minutes with them. See if you're a good fit for them and they're a good fit for you. Their website is firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com. Again, you need a loan, $750,000 or higher. You're a small business and you see an opportunity to grow. Share it with the Frost family and see if they can help you. Firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com. First Liberty Building and Loan can help businesses nationwide become bigger businesses.